Derek Johnson, president and CEO of the NAACP, and Eddie Glaude, chair of Princeton's Department of African American Studies and an MSNBC contributor. Good to see both of you. Derek, you wrote something on Twitter last night that really stuck with me. Millions of black parents, you write, across America are going to have the talk again, this time adding another item to the list: don't ring the wrong doorbell. I can't imagine what it's like to be the parents of Ralph Yarl right now, but you're right, this has an impact on the entire black community and really beyond. What all is going through your head right now?
It is unfortunate that this nation, we have devolved to this place. I said early on during the prior administration that white supremacy and racism germinate from the White House. It created a level of boldness. Local news coverage is mirrored in violence in the black community or the threat of the black male. It is dangerous to be black in America. And that's unfortunate. And the talk is making sure that we mind how we talk to others, don't drive white black, showing up at the wrong doorbell. That is unfortunate. And we have also devolved to the places where we're talking about which mass shooting are we talking about today. We've devolved to the place where people are trying to bar access to the voting booths. All these things is about culture and climate, and we must address the culture and climate of white supremacy, racism, and our democracy.
Eddie, I just want to emphasize to our viewers that Yarl has been described as a very talented musician in the school marching band. He was a gifted student, is a gifted student, apparently taking college-level classes, has plans to study chemical engineering in college. He just got confused. He rang the wrong doorbell. He was going to help his mom to pick up his brothers who were at a friend's house, and now he's suffering from a brain injury. How do you make sense of this?
Well, you don't. And, you know, actually, Anna, even if he wasn't a good student, even if he wasn't beloved by his classmates, this still would be unjust, right? Mm-hmm. And so what you have is this kind of toxic combination, this deadly, potentially deadly combination of a kind of obsession with guns, right, combined with deeply held racist views. Think about that neighborhood, barely segregated, often viewed as a conservative neighborhood, thought of as God's country in interesting sorts of ways. Think about how young black men, as Derek Johnson just laid out, are often perceived as, by definition, threats, no matter if they're decent, if they're loving, if they're quiet, if they're gentle. It doesn't matter. And so here you have a man seeing a black child, seeing that child as a man, as a threat, and shooting him twice. But more importantly, what we saw, or more in addition, rather, what we saw is a corruption of the heart. This baby went to 3 neighbors, and none of them did anything. That's a corruption of the soul that we have to address. I mean, can you imagine? 3 neighbors, and they did nothing.
And eventually somebody did, fortunately. That homeowner, Derek, who pulled the gun, is now facing 2 charges. Again, he hasn't turned himself into police yet, but the charges are first-degree assault and armed criminal action. Police note the suspect could try to use Missouri Stand Your Ground defense. It was late at night. He reportedly told police he thought Yarl was trying to break in. What's your reaction to that?
The question is, why isn't he in custody? I cannot imagine an African-American committing anything near this level and not be in custody. It has nothing to do with what defense he offered. It is the fact that he attempted to murder a young black man, and he's not in custody. We have an individual in Texas facing 30 years for spitting at, not on, law enforcement officers. So we have a problem with our criminal justice system, not holding individuals accountable. And as a result of that lack of accountability, people are operating at a level in which they disregard black lives.
Eddie, let me ask you about accountability, because, again, the county prosecutor says there was a racial component to this case without specifying more. The family wants hate crime charges to be filed here. What do you think? What does justice look like here?
Well, I think hate crime should be filed along with the other, charges. It seems to me that we have to begin to acknowledge, A, that racism exists, that B, that there are consequences that follow from racism, and if you act in a racist manner, you will be held to account. And so it's not about choosing between one and the other. It's about understanding the complicated imbrication of it all. And, oftentimes we want to stick our heads in the sand and say it's not about race. Here we have the toxic combination, again, of stand your ground laws, castle laws, guns, and racism. And it led to a young baby, a young child, 16-year-old, being shot. And we need to understand that. And then you combine that with the fact that we just left Nashville. 3 9-year-olds dead. And you know, from my vantage point, and this might sound a bit hyperbolic, they don't even care about their own kids. How are they going to care about ours? Right? And so we have to begin to address this directly and understand the underlying devaluation of black bodies that inform it.
I really appreciate both of your perspectives and your voices. Thank you for joining us today, Eddie Glaude and Derek Johnson. Good to have you here.